Every day, you pick up stones, invisible weights. Tonight, let me show you how to set them down and breathe free. Hello, dear friend, I'm Lucas. You've found your way here, once again, to this quiet haven in the middle of your day, a space where the world's demands soften and the urgent whispers of must do gently fade into the background. Perhaps as you settled into this moment, a sigh escaped your lips, a quiet acknowledgement of the unseen burdens you carry. For many of us, the weight we accumulate isn't always visible. It's the silent pressure of expectations, the heavy cloak of worries, the tight grip of regret from things past, or the anxious pull of a future yet to arrive. We carry these invisible stones, adding to their pile with every unaddressed task, every unspoken fear, every moment of perceived failure. We tell ourselves that by holding on to them, we somehow maintain control, that we are being responsible, or perhaps simply that we have no choice. But what if the heaviest burden of all is the one you believe you must carry? What if the path to true lightness isn't about conquering every obstacle, but about discerning which burdens truly belong to you and which are simply phantom weights you've mistakenly picked up along the way? Tonight, in this precious pause, we will begin to explore just that. We will gently examine the nature of what you carry, not to judge, but to understand that there is a profound art to letting go, an art known intimately by the ancient Stoics, who found freedom not in having less to carry, but in choosing less to hold. The ancient Stoics, those ancient architects of inner tranquility, understood deeply the human tendency to accumulate burden. They observed how our minds, driven by a desire for control and certainty, often cling to things outside our actual influence, the opinions of others, the unpredictable whims of fortune, the outcomes of events, and in this clinging, they saw the root of much human suffering. It was Epictetus, a former slave whose wisdom transcended his physical circumstances, who most eloquently articulated this fundamental truth. He taught, some things are within our power, while others are not. Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is our own doing, not within our power or our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not our own doing. This simple distinction, profound in its implications, is the cornerstone of true emotional freedom. Yet, in our modern world, we often blur these lines. We fret over traffic, rage against unfairness, obsess over how others perceive us, and constantly chase external validation, all things fundamentally outside our control. We invest our precious energy, our peace of mind, into these external scoreboards, and then wonder why we feel perpetually exhausted and anxious. What if the very act of trying to control the uncontrollable is the heaviest stone of all? Imagine for a moment a traveler walking along a winding, dusty road. His backpack is overflowing, not with essentials for the journey, but with countless small, sharp stones he has meticulously gathered along the way. Each stone represents a worry, the harsh words someone once spoke, a missed opportunity from years ago, a future disaster that hasn't happened yet, a fear of what others might think. He believes these stones are vital, perhaps a strange form of protection or a reminder of lessons learned. He clutches them tightly, the sharp edges digging into his palm, his back bowed by their collective weight. He sees others walking lightly, their shoulders relaxed, and wonders how they manage, never realizing that his own burden is self-imposed. This is the weight we often carry, not burdens imposed by life, but burdens we choose to pick up and cling to. Our minds, in their intricate complexity, are remarkable pattern-seeking machine. They love to categorize, to make sense of the world, to find order in chaos. And when faced with uncertainty, they often create stories, scenarios, and predictions, clinging to them as if the act of imagining a bad outcome somehow prepares us for it, or even prevents it. But often, these stories become the very chains that bind us, far heavier and more restrictive than any external reality. The constant replaying of past regrets, the endless rehearsal of future anxieties. These are the subtle, invisible stones that fill our mental backpacks. And the more we replay them, the more real they feel, until we mistake the shadow for the substance, the imagined burden for a physical weight. This is not to say that life doesn't present genuine challenges, true moments of struggle and sorrow. Of course it does. The Stoics were not naive optimists who ignored pain. Far from it. They were rigorous realists who faced life's harshest realities head on. But they understood that there is a critical difference between the unavoidable pain of external events and the optional suffering we inflict upon ourselves through our resistance, our attachment, and our desperate need for things to be other than they are. They taught us to differentiate with surgical precision. Is this within my control, or is it not? If not, then acceptance. If so, then virtuous action. And in that clarity, in that discerning act of mindful release, lies immense power. Consider your own day leading up to this moment of rest. How many times did your mind wander to things truly outside your sphere of influence? Did you fret about a colleague's mood? Worry about a news headliner? Ruminate over a past mistake that cannot be undone? Each of these thoughts, when clung to, adds a stone to your invisible satchel. And yet, this moment, this precious pause, offers a subtle invitation, an invitation to examine these stones, not to throw them away with force, but to acknowledge their presence, understand their nature, and then gently, intentionally set them down. This subtle act of letting go, this mindful release, isn't weakness. It's a profound act of strength. It takes courage to release the illusion of control, to trust that the universe will continue to unfold, even if you're not constantly micromanaging its every detail. It takes wisdom to recognize that true safety isn't found in clutching tightly to what you cannot hold, but in cultivating an inner sanctuary that no external storm can breach. It is the courage to stand naked before life, trusting your own inherent resilience, rather than relying on the heavy, cumbersome armor of worry and attachment. As your breath continues its gentle rhythm, imagine with each exhale releasing a small, unseen stone from your metaphorical backpack. Feel the subtle shift, a softening in your shoulders, a lightness in your chest, the muscles in your jaw, perhaps unconsciously clenched, beginning to relax. This is the process of shedding the unnecessary, of returning to your natural state of ease. You are not discarding lessons. You are simply releasing the excess emotional baggage that often accompanies them. You are not ignoring responsibility. You are refining your focus to where your true power lies, in your present action, your present reactions, and your present peace. In this space of letting go, you are not passive. You are profoundly active. You are actively choosing to reclaim your mental energy, to redirect your attention towards what truly nourishes your soul, rather than what drains it. You are actively cultivating a deeper connection to your authentic self, the part of you that knows instinctively when it's time to rest, when it's time to release, and when it's time to simply be. This is a subtle rebellion against the constant clamor of a world that demands endless doing. This is a quiet affirmation of your own inherent worth, independent of achievement or external validation. As the quiet light of midday wraps around you, deeper than words can express, know that this moment is a gift you give yourself, a gift of lightness, of freedom, of profound tranquility. There is no urgency here, no pressure to be anything other than exactly who you are. Right now, there is only the gentle, rhythmic ebb and flow of your breath, carrying away all that no longer serves you, and bringing in a quiet, restorative peace that fills every cell of your being. Allow yourself to sink into this profound sense of relief. You are safe. You are held. You are releasing the burden, one quiet breath at a time. I whisper now, as your eyes grow heavier, as your conscious mind softly lets go. You are safe. You are here. You are enough. The weight is lifting. The burden is fading. Let go. Fall into lightness. Chapter 2: The Art of Acceptance. The river of what is. Life flows, and sometimes our greatest struggle isn't the current, but our fight against it. Tonight, surrender and float free. Welcome, dear friend. You've journeyed through the quiet space of Chapter 1, gently acknowledging the unseen burden, the phantom weights we often carry. You've begun to feel the subtle release, the first whispers of lightness, as you discern what truly belongs within your grasp and what does not. Now, as your breath deepens and finds a quiet rhythm, we embark upon the next current of this healing journey. Imagine yourself standing by a wide, slow-moving river. Its surface gleams under the gentle midday sun, reflecting the vast, open sky above. This river represents the unceasing flow of life itself, its moments, its changes, its challenges, and its quiet joys. Sometimes, in our waking lives, we find ourselves fighting against this current, desperately trying to swim upstream or to redirect the river's course to fit our own rigid plans. This resistance, while born of a desire for control, often leaves us exhausted, battered, and adrift. But what if there was another way? What if the path to profound peace wasn't about conquering the river, but about learning to flow with it? This chapter, the art of acceptance, so invites you to discover the gentle power found in aligning with the river of what is, to simply allow the current to carry you, knowing that true strength lies not in resistance, but in the wisdom of surrender. The ancient Stoics, with their profound connection to the natural world, understood that much of our suffering stems not from the events themselves, but from our judgment and resistance to them. They championed a radical form of acceptance, a philosophy known as amor fati, or love of fate. This concept, most famously embraced by Marcus Aurelius, didn't mean passively resigning oneself to whatever happens or passively giving up on effort. Instead, it was an active, courageous affirmation of life in its entirety, embracing every moment, every challenge, every unexpected twist, as if you had personally chosen it. It was about recognizing that the universe unfolds exactly as it must, and our truest power lies in aligning our will with this unfolding, rather than fruitlessly fighting against it. Think of it to love your fate, even the difficult parts, is to release the immense energy you spend on resentment, regret, and the endless if-onlys. It is to understand that every experience, every perceived obstacle contains a hidden lesson, a unique opportunity for growth that would otherwise be missed if you were too busy resisting it. This isn't about blind optimism. It's about profound realism. It's about looking at life clearly, squarely, and saying yes to all of it. Yeah, to the rain as much as the sun. Yes, to the challenge as much as the triumph. Imagine now our traveler, Kyle, from the previous chapter, having set down some of his heavy stones, he walks on, feeling a subtle lightness, but his mind, still accustomed to its old patterns, continues to struggle with the river of life. He sees a large rock in the middle of the river, an unavoidable obstacle blocking what he perceives as his straight path. Immediately, his old instinct to control flares up. He tries to push the water around the rock, to divert the current with his bare hands. He curses the rock, resents its presence, and feels a surge of frustration. The water, of course, continues to flow around the rock, indifferent to his efforts. He exhausts himself, his hands raw, his spirit heavy with the futility of his struggle. He longs for the river to be flat, straight, and unobstructed, never realizing that the river's power lies precisely in its ability to navigate obstacles, not to avoid them. He remembers the old shepherd's words echoing softly in his mind. Sometimes the greatest burden is the one you believe keeps you safe. Kyle begins to look at the rock differently. It's not an enemy, but a part of the river. It simply is. With this new perspective, a sense of profound calm begins to settle over him. He stops pushing. He stops fighting. He sits by the riverbank, closes his eyes, and just listens to the water flowing around the unmoving rock. He begins to feel the rhythm of the current, noticing how it flows effortlessly, patiently, finding its way forward. And in that quiet observation, a profound shift occurs within him. He realizes that by resisting the rock, he was only resisting the river, and by resisting the river, he was resisting life itself. This, dear listener, is the art of acceptance. It is learning to differentiate between the things that are truly within your power to change: your thoughts, your judgments, your reaction, and the things that are not: the external events, the behavior of others, the past. When we cling to the illusion that we must control everything, we become like Kyle, futilely pushing against the river, exhausting ourselves. But when we accept what is, when we truly embrace life as it unfolds, we align ourselves with a force far greater than our individual will. We become like the river itself, fluid, adaptable, powerful in our yielding. This doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent to injustice, not at all. The Stoics were active citizens, engaging with the world, striving for virtue, and contributing to society, but their actions flowed from a place of inner peace and acceptance rather than anxious, grasping, or furious resistance to what they could not change. They understood that anger, fear, and frustration are often reactions to our perception of events, rather than the events themselves. And those reactions, those inner storms, are always within our power to reshape. Consider your own daily struggles now. How often do you find yourself wishing things were different than they are? Do you resist unexpected changes in plans? Do you find yourself replaying conversation, wishing you had said something else? Do you feel a knot of tension when someone else acts in a way you don't approve of? Each of these moments of resistance, no matter how small, is like trying to push against the current of a mighty river. It drains your energy, leaves you feeling frustrated, and ultimately does nothing to change the external reality. But now, imagine gently releasing that resistance, not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet, internal shift as your breath continues its soothing rhythm. Feel yourself sinking deeper effortlessly, like a stone settling into the soft riverbed. Let the sounds around you, even the subtle shifts in your thoughts, simply flow past like leaves on the water. You don't need to grab them, to analyze them, or to change their course. Just observe, just allow. This is the profound liberation of acceptance. It frees up enormous amounts of mental and emotional energy. that were previously tied up in futile resistance. This energy can now be redirected towards productive action, towards cultivating inner peace, or simply towards resting deeply. And truly, it allows you to become like that calm river flowing around obstacles, finding its way forward without effort, without judgment, without burning out. In this moment, dear friend, you are not defined by the waves that crash around you, or by the rocks that stand in your path. You are the river itself. You are the gentle current that moves ceaselessly forward, adapting, flowing, finding harmony in every twist and turn. You are the unwavering presence that simply is, allowing life to unfold, knowing that true strength lies in your ability to accept, to adapt, and to always flow as the subtle light of midday continues to soften, painting golden hues across your closed eyelids. Feel yourself sinking deeper into this profound sense of acceptance. Let every remaining tension gently unravel. Let every lingering worry softly drift away. You are safe here, in the effortless flow of the present moment. You are not striving. You are not pushing. You are simply allowing yourself to be carried by the gentle current of rest, knowing that in this surrender you reclaim your deepest power. I whisper, now, as your consciousness drifts into deeper, more restorative rest. You are the flow. You are the acceptance. You are boundless, like the river. Let go of resistance. Let go of the fight. Fall into the current. Chapter 3. The Lightness of Release. The echo of freedom. What if freedom wasn't something you chased, but something you simply allowed? Tonight, let your spirit soar and find your sky. Welcome, dear friend. You've journeyed through the subtle currents of acceptance, gently letting go of resistance, allowing the river of what is to carry you. You've felt the initial stirrings of lightness as the phantom weights begin to dissolve. Now, as your breath deepens and your mind settles further into this midday sanctuary, we arrive at the culminating moment of this journey, the lightness of release. So here we explore the profound freedom that blossoms when we truly let go, not of our efforts or our purpose, but of the need to control every outcome, every emotion, every fleeting thought. It is the wisdom of realizing that the heaviest chains are often self-imposed, woven from our own fears and attachments. And in this final chapter, you are invited to shed them completely, effortlessly, and to discover the boundless sky that has always waited patiently beneath the perceived weight of your world. It is time to breathe free. The Stoics, in their profound understanding of human nature, taught that true freedom is an internal state, independent of external circumstances. They believed that our emotions, particularly those rooted in fear, frustration, and a desperate need for control, are often the heaviest burdens we carry. And the most profound liberation comes not from changing the world around us, but from transforming our relationship to it. Seneca, the Roman statesman and philosopher, whose life was a testament to navigating immense power and devastating loss with equanimity, articulated this beautifully. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. This timeless insight underscores a crucial truth. The vast majority of our mental anguish is self-inflicted. It arises not from what objectively is, but from what we imagine could be, or what we relentlessly rehearse from the past. Fear, in this sense, is a master storyteller, painting vivid, terrifying scenarios in the theater of our minds, scenarios that rarely materialize, yet consume our peace of mind long before any real challenge arrives. It thrives in the fertile ground of our unchecked thoughts, whispering anxieties that feel undeniably real, even when they are nothing more than shadows of the imagination. So, in this precious moment of profound pause, consider the stories you tell yourself. What heavy stones of what if are you carrying? Scenarios you've conjured, conversations you've rehearsed, future failures you've already lived through in your mind. What imagined conversations are still replaying, causing you pain that has no true anchor in the present moment? Let me offer you one final story in this journey, a simple tale that holds a mirror to these invisible burdens, to the power of releasing what we mistakenly believe keeps us safe. there was a seasoned traveler named Kaisla from our previous chapter. He was a relentless seeker, forever wandering through the vast tapestries of the world, driven by an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, for the definitive map to meaning, peace, and a life well lived. He devoured countless ancient scrolls and modern books, each promising a new revelation, a hidden shortcut to understanding. He sat at the feet of wise teachers in secluded monasteries and bustling marketplaces, tirelessly asking, "What is the way? Which path is truly right?" But each answer, though profound, seemed only to add another layer of complexity, another question, another path not yet explored, another potential failure. He accumulated insights like precious treasures, meticulously recording them, believing that if he could just gather enough knowledge, enough experiences, enough answers, he would finally find the key to true peace, to enduring joy. He filled a heavy satchel, not just with maps and books, but with every piece of advice, every cautionary tale, every potential pitfall he could imagine. He believed that this collection of knowledge, this constant state of vigilance, was what kept him safe, what prepared him for every twist and turn of the road. One day, exhausted by his relentless quest, his shoulders aching from the heavy satchel that dug into his flesh, he found himself in a small, dusty village nestled deep within a quiet valley. The sun, tired from its long journey across the sky, was beginning its slow descent towards the distant peaks. There, by a murmuring stream, he met an old shepherd whose eyes held the quiet wisdom of the hills and whose face was etched with the calm lines of a life well lived. The old man offered Kale a piece of coarse, warm bread, still fragrant from the morning baker, and then a gift even more precious, silence. They sat together for hours, side by side, on a worn wooden bench outside the shepherd's simple dwelling, saying nothing at all. The only sounds were the soft murmur of the stream, the distant bleating of sheep, and the gentle whisper of the evening breeze through the tall grasses. The sun slowly arced across the sky, painting the clouds with hues of fiery orange and soft, contemplative purple. The silence between them deepened, not an empty void, but a rich, full presence that seemed to breathe with its own ancient rhythm. As the first stars began to pierce the twilight, Kyle, with a voice almost a whisper, filled with a raw, unexpected vulnerability, finally confessed the question that had tormented him for so long. How do I know which path is truly right? How do I find peace when there are so many directions, so many answers? I feel like I carry the weight of the whole world's wisdom, and yet I'm more lost than ever. The shepherd smiled, a gentle, knowing smile, and placed his weathered hand lightly on Kale's shoulder, a touch of grounding warmth. Sometimes, he said, his voice soft like the evening breeze, almost indistinguishable from the rustling leaves. The map is drawn after the journey, and sometimes the greatest burden is the one you believe keeps you safe. He then reached down and gently picked up a small, smooth stone from the ground. This stone, he murmured, its surface cool and smooth in his palm. It is heavy, yes, but it also tells a story. It has seen many seasons, many journeys. You pick it up, believing it holds a truth you need, or protects you from the path ahead. But when your hand grows weary and your back aches, you realize it is just a stone. Its weight is real, but its purpose is yours to give or to release. He paused, then continued. You cling to the worries of tomorrow as if they were a shield. You relive the mistakes of yesterday as if rehearsing them prevents them from happening again. You gather every piece of advice, every dire warning, believing that knowing every potential pitfall makes you safe. But in holding on to these things, you bind yourself, you prevent your feet from feeling the softness of the earth beneath you. You keep your eyes fixed on the shadows, never truly seeing the boundless sky. That night, Kyle didn't resume his restless walk. He lay down beneath the vast, open sky, the silent stars twinkling above him like 1,000 tiny possibilities. He looked up, and for the very first time, he felt that the stars weren't pointing anywhere specific. They weren't commanding him to follow a predetermined course. They were simply shining, and in that profound simplicity, in that deep acceptance of the present moment, he understood the destination wasn't the point. The frantic search for the path wasn't the purpose. Presence was being fully here, fully alive, in this very moment, was the only true journey. He reached for his satchel, its familiar weight, a constant companion. Slowly, deliberately, he began to empty it, not discarding the books or maps, but releasing the need to carry them constantly, to understand everything. Before he took another step, he laid them gently beside him, under the watchful gaze of the stars, the heavy satchel of books, the endless questions, the need for the definitive answer. They were the stones he had carried, mistakenly believing they held the key to his peace. He realized that peace wasn't found in collecting more answers, but in releasing the burden of needing to know everything. As he lay there, unburdened, the night air felt lighter. His breath flowed more freely, and for the first time in many years, he truly rested. So, dear one, perhaps you, too, have been walking a long time, carrying stones in your own invisible satchel. Maybe your mind has been burdened with questions, with unyielding efforts to map out every step, even as your body aches for a moment of quiet rest. Perhaps you've been trying tirelessly to figure it all out, your purpose, your next big step, the ultimate meaning of your existence. But what if today, in this sacred midday pause, is not for solving? What if it's a precious invitation for surrender? What if this gentle, effortless release of control is the way? What if the peace you seek isn't ahead, but right here, beneath the perceived weight of your worries, like the boundless sky that holds everything yet is touched by nothing? The Stoics, in their profound practicality, did not believe in a predetermined, unchangeable fate that made human efforts meaningless. Instead, they believed in living in accordance with nature. And what is nature in its purest, most fundamental form, if not the rhythm of breath itself? What is nature, if not the eternal cycle of rise and fall, of effort and stillness, of light and shadow, of blooming with full vitality, and then pausing to gather strength in the quiet darkness. This is not passivity. It is profound alignment. It is the wisdom of the tree that sheds its leaves, not in defeat, but in preparation for renewal. It is the strength of the river that bends around the obstacle, not by weakness, but by wisdom, knowing that rigidity breaks where flexibility endures. You are an integral part of that very rhythm. You are not meant to be strong all the time. You are not required to be perfectly clear in every single moment. You only have to show up fully, authentically, to yourself, to this breath, flowing effortlessly within you, to this present moment, cradling you in its stillness, to this small, vast sky that lives beneath your ribs, reflecting the universe within. The worries, the thoughts, the old stories, they are merely clouds passing through your boundless inner sky. You are not the clouds. You are the sky itself. Untouched, unburdened, place your hand gently on your chest. If you like, feel what has always been there. A steady, unwavering rhythm, a quiet, knowing pulse that connects you to something ancient and eternal. You are not behind schedules. You are not late. You are not broken. You are not too much, nor are you ever not enough. You are here, and here in this timeless space is truly everything. There's one more image I'd like to offer you now as you prepare to surrender fully to this deep, restorative rest. Imagine a vast, tranquil lake at dawn. Its surface is like polished glass, perfectly still, perfectly silent. It reflects only what is present, the soft, nascent light of the morning, the delicate outlines of distant trees, and the vast, open sky above. Not what was yesterday, not what will be tomorrow, only this sacred, luminous now. And beneath that perfectly still surface, a whole, vibrant world breathes. Roots gripping the ancient earth, stones smoothed by timeless currents, slow, unseen currents flowing in perfect harmony, none of it in a hurry, all of it in deep, effortless alignment. That is you, that profound stillness, that boundless depth, that unseen, vibrant life pulsating within. So let yourself drift now. You don't need a compass anymore. The frantic search for direction can cease. You don't need a map. The need to understand every turn ahead has dissolved. You are not going somewhere. You are arriving fully into deep rest, not to escape the world's demands, but to remember your truest essence, to remember that being human is not a frantic race. It is a harmonious rhythm, a gentle, unhurried dance with existence. You don't need to do anything to earn this rest. You simply need to receive it, to allow yourself to be carried by the gentle current of sleep, knowing that this space, this stillness, is your birthright. It has always been here, waiting. Close your eyes. Dear one, let your breath become the boundless sky, holding all that passes without judgment. Let your heart beat like gentle footsteps in soft, untouched snow. Sleep is not the end. It is the quiet, inviting doorway back in, back to softness, back to self, back to stillness. You are home, you are whole, you are held.